right, we got the Yard Yoda out here, the Yard Toyota pickup. If you guys haven't seen this, this is a red, I believe it's a 93 Toyota pickup that I just picked up. We're out here in front of the cow pasture that's right in front of the house, and we've got water system problems. Water system woes is what I would call. So what I've got down here is I've got a pond that feeds a water tank to the cows that are in this pasture. The feed for the water tank is a little bit restricted. I think that the filter is kind of clogged up on the end, so I've got to get out there with a brush. I've got to wade out into the pond, get that filter, scrub it clean, and then restart the siphon and actually move this water tank out of the mud hole that it's in, because I don't want my cows up in a mud hole if I possibly can help it. The next thing we're going to be doing is I've got loads of rock coming, okay? So I get to get in the pond, and it's probably 40 degrees outside right now. It's gonna be a little chilly. I've got loads of rock coming up. We're gonna take you up and we're gonna show you how the tire water tank is gonna work, and we'll get, this is kind of the initial look at what we're gonna do for a tire water tank. On the other side of the farm, which is this big pasture you see way over here, water siphons from another pond into the water tanks, and all of the fittings on that water pipe exploded 2 nights ago. So it's blasting water out everywhere right now. We've got a lot of water system woes to take care of, but we'll show you how the total passive water system works here on the Stoney Ridge farm. From solar to siphon to ram pumps. In the past, we've had ram pumps here on the farm. So come along as we learn a little bit and we get some chores done here on the farm. This stuff is long awaited, and as I move the cows across to different pieces of the farm, we're gonna have to have water systems in place. All right, stop number 1. We're up here at the solar water setup, and I'll show you exactly how all that works. So I've got 4 solar panels right here, and underneath this big fake rock, there is a wellhead, and the water comes out of that, goes to a hose bib over here, or hydrant, and that fills this water tank right here. It's a 1,000-gallon ABI water trailer. That goes from gravity into this tank, and this tank you can see is completely full right now, which means I probably need to drain this because we've got a lot of cold weather ahead of us, and the cows won't be back on this pasture for at least a month or so. So that is one passive setup up here on the farm, and we're gonna ride up to a place where I'm gonna be running a trench. So in other words, I'll trench right from that wellhead all the way out here to the middle of the pasture, and that's where we're dumping the rock, because we're gonna be installing a tire tank waterer, and that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. Please jump in, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because you're gonna get a lot of awesome, fun information. Even if you're not farming, I think it's interesting to see how we can do this passively without burning electricity. Awesome. So here we are, we're up here at the new tire water tank. This is the tire, it's a great big skidder tire. Gosh, I don't even know what size it is. It's so worn out. But what we'll do is we'll trim out the edge right here, and we're gonna make this a water tank for the cows. And what we've gotta do, stick around on the videos, we'll show you exactly how we build this tire water tank. And this water tank will serve as water for this entire pasture. And what I'll do is I'll segment this off into 1-acre paddocks, and we're in about a 6-acre pasture, so we'll have 6 paddocks right here for the cows to intensively graze and move throughout the farm. The whole goal with the farm is to move the cows on a daily basis to a new paddock of grass, and that way they work their way all the way through the farm, and the grass has time to recover, thus making the fields more healthy and the cows and animals more healthy. So the dump truck's on the way, should be here sometime in the next 2 minutes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna dump rock right out here in the pasture, and then we're gonna get a load of rock dust. They're called screenings, rock dust, and we'll put that down too. So we'll trench all the way from the solar panel over there to right here, and we're actually gonna run another trench over to the next ridge. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. So here we are down at the pond, and I'm gonna show you exactly what we've got to do. We've got to get down in the water, okay? So I've got to slip on these awesome guys, and I know they have a little leak. I've yet to figure out where the leak is, but it is in, right there it is, right there in the groin area. I've got 2 areas that I have to clean out. The other area does not require me getting in the pond, which is kind of nice. However, that one clogs up all the time. This one is just flowing a little bit slow. And I'll show you guys how I set up the filter system. There's a filter on the end of this 1/2-inch poly pipe that filters the water prior to going into the water tank down here so that we get good constant flow and hopefully it doesn't clog up. This has been in place for 1.5 years. This is the first time I've ever had to clean it. It's pretty simple, but it's a little bit interesting to get in there. I'm gonna put a body cam on so you guys can see everything I'm doing. Lesson learned: buy cheap waders, get cheap waders. Buy good waders, get good waders. These are like $100, but man, they're proven to not last. This is, they're 3 years old and been worn literally 3 times. All right, you guys are gonna love this body cam action. So GoPro makes this neat little attachment that you can wear. It's basically like a backwards pair of suspenders. And you guys will get to see up close and personal exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking a brush and I'm gonna go out there and scrub this guy clean. This water is cold, freezing cold. All right, either I'm gonna get soaking wet or this is gonna work just great. I see fishies. Is that a catfish? I put catfish in here, but I haven't seen catfish in a while. We're about to get up to the crotch area. Yes. Oh. Oh my goodness. How did I attach this? Is it zip tied on? I cannot remember at all. Is it even out here? No, it's not. That broke. So that's why we're clogged up. Somewhere underneath my feet, oh, there it is the filter. There it is. That's why it's clogged up, because it's on the ground. Shouldn't be on the ground. So we'll scrub it clean while my crotch slowly soaks up large amounts of water. I put a copper attachment on this critter, but that copper didn't last. The zip ties seem to last better than the copper. So swish this around. This water is cold. I need something to firmly attach this thing. Yeah, it's just gonna sink. So zip tie action. I gotta run up and get some more zip ties so I can zip tie this critter to that float right there via that rope. Gotta get back out. Got it clean. Oh, maybe I have something in my bucket. This guy may be the trick. Back in the water we go. Oh boy, woohoo, don't fall. I hear stuff crunching under my feet. Oh, I'm gonna have to do all this underwater. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring this in right here, just like that, and I'm gonna snug it up as tight as I can get it on this piece of rope right here. This is a marine grade rope, and these are marine floats. All right, there we go. Good to go. We're down here. We're about, we're close to the 12-inch mark. Oh gosh, that's cold. Now it's 16 inches down. That's where we want it. Woohoo! Oh, frozen hands. Totally frozen hands. What do you think of the body cam? That was pretty cool, kind of fun. We've got 1/2-inch poly pipe laid up here, and what I'm gonna do is pull off about 50 to 60 feet of that 1/2-inch poly, and we've got a bit of a mud hole down here. I'll show you. So the poly runs from the filter through the dam, the standpipe right here, or through pipe, down this little gully, little creek, into that creek, and then right alongside the fence line right here, and it siphons into this water tank. And you can see we've got a mud problem. We got to solve that mud problem. We got to get rid of that mud for sure. We're going to go on down there and we'll drain that. We'll siphon all the water out of it. We'll move it, and then we'll fill it back up. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to put a coupling in here. This is all, there we go. somewhere on a post. This is all a low pressure system. I don't need to put any kind of clamps or anything on here. Just gonna slip it together. If it does freeze, it'll blow this apart and save me, okay? That did not happen over on the other side of the road, and you're gonna see that in just a few minutes. We've got a cow down here drinking. Hopefully she'll go on and drink that thing dry, and I don't have to siphon any water out. I'll just be able to drag it over to a dry spot. We're gonna take this on down to where little Miss Cow is. So I'm going to have to get in the mud, and that's going to be awesome. Now, as much as I care about these cows, sometimes there can be no more annoying animal than a cow. So now I'm down here, the cows are not at all paying attention to that water tank, but now that I'm down here, 31 cows have got to come down here and all try to drink from that water tank at the same time. Watch. If you drink a little more, I won't have to get in the mud. If you guys drink all that, I won't have to get in the mud. What do you think? No? All right. Oh. Oh. All right. I didn't get as muddy as I thought. Oh, but that tank's got mud all over it. So here is the end, and this is the end that's gonna go inside of our tank, okay? This will also go right back into the creek once I move the cows out of this area. So it'll go right back, it'll just come out of the pond and continually run through this pipe so it doesn't freeze. Cut that guy off. You can still see it has not lost siphon. So if I put my thumb over it, it should build more pressure and draw siphon. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my other poly pipe and I'm gonna mate it up to this one. Mating these two together, 1/2-inch coupling, just to press on. This is called a barbed compression fitting. Take it all the way down the line here. All right, now this is gonna lay inside the tank and we're gonna go get our drill pump. We're gonna hook to this and we're gonna prime this line for about half of a battery in my drill. The reason we're doing that is to pull all of the air out and we should get a full 1/2-inch stream of water out of here, which should fill this tank up probably in 35 minutes or so. I'm going to connect this water hose connector to the end right here. And this is heavy enough to keep it in the bottom of the tank. And then we're gonna take our drill pump. This is the drill pump right here. And we're gonna squeeze the trigger and pump water directly from the pond right there. While we're waiting for the cows to go away, why don't we go over here to the other side of the road and show you the disaster that's gonna be fixed next. So we got a pond here. This is a pond that I built. We got a pond up there that was built in 1961. So what I got here is busted pipes. So the pipe runs from the pond dam way up here. It's a 3/4-inch poly pipe. I learned use bigger pipe, okay? But what I didn't do was drain this pipe appropriately, and consequently, we've got busted areas right here. I'll show you. So this thing got cold and busted. It's turned on right now. Let me turn it off, and it's spraying me when I turn it off. So that is leaking and this is leaking right here. So both of these valves basically just busted. That's it. They froze and they busted. No biggie. I can turn that on and it'll fill the water tank. I don't have any issues in the wintertime with these water tanks staying full. What I do have issues with is stuff like this, okay? But what I was smart enough to do was put a shutoff valve over here. So for some reason, this main shutoff did not freeze. Awesome, so glad that didn't freeze. The rest of the pipe runs straight up the hill. We're gonna go up there in a second, as soon as we get done solving problem number 1. 20 minutes later, they're still there. They're not going anywhere. They're not thirsty. They're not beating and banging on the water tank. They think they're gonna move. They think they're moving from this pasture to that pasture, so they're just hanging out right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start solving this problem, at least a temporary fix so that I can get water flowing appropriately through these pipes right here. And we're gonna actually put an extension on the filter that's up in the other pond, so you'll get to see that. I'm gonna repair what's down here, and then we'll go up to the top of the hill. So come along. Take this old valve off here too. All right. Now, we probably should replace that valve because it shuts water off all the way down the line. However, I don't think I need to do that. So, let me get the figure in here. We're gonna remove this, just like so. Press this fitting together. There we go. Good deal. Well, it just happens to be a zip tie right here. There we go. Now, we've got a watering setup for this tank right here, which it will work just fine. I'm gonna go and we'll turn the water on once more, right down here. Make sure everything's gonna work properly. Turn that guy on. Let's turn it on, see what it does. There we go. That's what we needed. So we got a temporary solution right now for this water setup. I'm going to actually turn this valve off because I'm going to put rock and dirt all around this tank right here. Next thing, I've got a valve and a hose bib, okay? The valve and the hose bib is going to be mounted up right here to where it can pour right into the water tank. And this valve right here will feed to a water hose. So we need to figure out exactly where that needs to go. We need to give her a little cut. It's not as simple with the water on. I should probably go turn the water off. I got wet. Now, I've got a float valve in here, guys, and I would use that float valve, but I'm not using it because it's wintertime and that will bust, okay? It will freeze and bust. And what we've got to do is continually keep water flowing through here. I'm gonna press this guy into place. Got a couple zip ties, and I'm also going to connect my water hose right here to this. I want this valve to be almost all the way on, but not quite. I want it to be off enough to where I get good water pressure to fill this tank. This hose, I'll eventually put a longer hose on the end of this, and it will constantly run right back over there to the creek. Very cool. Very interesting setup. All right, so we've got that sorted out. What we got to do next is we got to go up and we're going to cut the pipe and we're going to extend it so that we can get our filter system out in the pond just a little bit further. I know I need to do it, so I've been putting it off. Today's the day. I'm already wet, I'm already dirty. So we're up here on the pond dam, and this is the most interesting part of the water system. The cows are still down there at the water tank. So what we've got to do here is I've got to pull this filter system out of the pond, and I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to show you there's also a float attached to it. So you can see it wasn't in the water very far. What I've got to do is lengthen this so that it's out in the water quite a bit further, and you can see it's got a lot of trash on it, but the reason it's got trash on it is because it's sitting on the bottom of the pond right here. So I've got a cut right here. So I pulled it out of the water, and what I've got to do is take this piece of pipe off and put a longer piece of pipe on so that it extends further out into the water. Now this is a float right here. So this is a sealed piece of PVC, 2-inch PVC. This is screen that's zip tied around a piece of 2-inch PVC pipe with about 100 holes drilled through it. And that is going to prevent any type of contaminant from getting in there. And when it drags on the bottom, it doesn't prevent anything. So we'll cut this guy off. These fittings are extremely tight. Again, they're pressed barbed fittings. So what I found to remove those is take your knife, just cut a little notch. Takes a couple swings at it. Cut a little notch and then bend it, and it pops right off. This is the 16-footer, and all I'm gonna do, slide my clamp on, slip it back over my filter. These filters work absolutely great. Pull this out. I want this down in the water about 16 inches, so we want it to be about right here. The way it's gonna work with these two hose clamps on here, I'm gonna bend the tabs out ever so slightly, just like that, so they stand up. Now, when I put my float on with my zip tie, it will be held in place with these two clamps. So I'm gonna chuck this out in the pond, and that should get us up floating where we need to be. All righty. It's got to go way out there. Bonsai! Uh-oh. My toes are frozen. Well, I got a little bit excited there. You can see it, it's out there floating, it's doing its job, and we've just got to press these fittings back together, put a hose clamp on there and we're good to go. And no more water problems. Even if the pond freezes over, it's never gonna freeze 16 inches deep. Snug this guy down. I just have to be careful and not hit this with a mower. I'm down here, we're gonna go ahead and run the drill pump because the cows aren't gonna go away. I don't know what their deal is, but that's all right. We're gonna run the drill pump. Here's how it works. So just squeeze the trigger of this pump, and I'll put a link to one of these pumps in the video description. See how I'm not getting any water? It'll start pumping a full stream here in just a minute. There it is. I gotta stand guard, guys. Like I said, man, cows are curious critters. You're gonna have to back up, sweetie. It's my sweetie. Just stand back, everybody. See you in 10 minutes. Well, I'm now the keeper of the water tank. But we got it, it's filling up. I cleaned it out good. Everything's gonna be working just fine here in just a second. Once I get it full, we'll let that drill battery run out, grab another drill battery, and you can't drink right now, buddy. You can't drink. Guys, thanks a lot for joining me here on the Stoney Ridge Farm today. That's just what's going on. Water system woes, all sorts of problems with the water system. Both tanks over here are running great. This tank is gonna be running great in just a second. And stay tuned for a future video series as we build the water tank up there out of that big old tire. So we're gonna build a tire water tank. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge. Pound that like button. Woo! Come on down to the Stoney Ridge. Bring your wife and bring your kids. We're living life pure and sweet. That's the way it's supposed to be, Stoney Ridge. That's so cold. Oh, that's so cold. Suck it up, Buttercup. Ooh, doggy. Man, that's cold. I probably have about a half a quart of water in my crotch area right now. And I'm wishing I had a power tool. Oh, that's cold. Wet crotch. Wet crotch. Well, I got me a fine wife. I got me old fiddle. And I got a bunch of cows in getting on my nerves. Oh, thank God I'm a muddy cow. Slip this guy off because I think we're done with him for a while. Uh-oh. That's what I haven't quite figured out is how to get out of it.